What is up, everybody? Let's go ahead and go over the trades that were signaled on Friday, as well as the weeklies. Okay, so we're going to start things off with, I guess it was Triple M, NEM. There we go. Triple M was signaled. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now, this bad boy was actually a gap, but it was signaled, and it did end up coming out and taking the second price target. So how could you have played this? If you were a prepared person, then you would have had the pre-market highs, the pre-market lows marked out, and you would have seen that even with that initial break starting down here, you wouldn't have necessarily wanted to take it because it's a gap, it's a little uncertain. So by waiting for a correction, you see it come right back up here. And what is it doing? It's fighting the pre-market high, then it crashes below it. Once it crashes below it, you simultaneously get it, coming underneath the upper band, crossing the daily entry. This is a good confirmation to potentially get back into the play or get into it the first time because it is crossing your level. Shoots down with a velocity past the VWAP and goes straight down to hit the first price target, bouncing off of the pre-market low, right? Shooting back up again, we stay underneath the VWAP. So you could have gotten this again off of this failed to right in here and taken it back down again to that. Then once you see and finally have a breaking, see we have the rejection right here. See, we're like having trouble rejecting the pre-market low on both sides. But once we see it break, like start beneath, like it starts beneath the price target, goes beneath the pre-market low, goes beneath the bottom band, might be worth getting a couple of puts and then riding that bad boy down. You could have written it down all the way to the very next price target because we stayed underneath this band the entire time. So you could have ended your day off with a nice little scalp right in there on Triple M. After that, Netflix was signaled. Now, Netflix did break entry, take out PT1, and then immediately go, see you later, right? So that's just why you have to, be aware of where things are at. You can see right in here, we did end up wicking it. And it happened so fast that like you would have just had to be in and out. This thing broke in the morning, came down, hit its price target, and was done after that. So you just got to be quick to execute sometimes. The beautiful thing is that it was about $1 of a movement. A dollar movement on something like Netflix is going to make you some money. With that being said, the next thing was BJ. Bummer here. Now, this one was a miss, right? This one was a complete miss. We break, we immediately come down. We try again, we immediately come down. We try again, we immediately come down. We never hit price target. So for me, this is a miss, I don't count this one as correct because it did not hit price target one, unlike other things that did, right? The other things it did. So those are the three things that were signaled on Friday. Now let's go into the weeklies that were signaled and talk about those. So the first thing that was signaled was ABBV, which on the daily time frame you can see here broke entry, and then within the same day went and hit PT1. You should have been majority of your contracts out here. Seeing the 212 reversal flip against you is a confirmation to get any runners that you have out of the play. Hopefully they were in profit by the time that you did that. I normally wouldn't take a weekly on, and I could be looking at the 30 minutes, but by looking at the 30 minutes, you can see that here we're rejecting the upper band, giving a nice fail to off of that underneath entry, and then it was a smooth ride down to PT1. So that weekly would have been able to be done within one day, and honestly within just a few hours, and you could have made some money on ABBV. After that, BABA was signaled. BABA was signaled. Yep. And it was signaled because of here, right? It broke here, but then it started going the wrong way and it did end up gapping. So this is one of those things where you would have to have like your stop loss be at a certain level or a certain price. And if you had gotten stopped out, you probably would have missed the reentry on this bad boy because of the gap. But if you had held on to the play, and said, let's just say, like, for total example, let's just say you're like, okay, if we reach this high, I'm cutting the play. Like, I'm not going to let it go all the way to the weekly stop loss. If we get past this, I'm done, because then we're breaking the trend. We're doing a bunch of stuff I don't want it to do. Time to cut it, right? Well, it doesn't ever hit that. And then when it opens up on Friday and is hitting PT2, you're making some money because you knew to hold on to the play because it didn't break levels that told you to get out. So that could be one way that you would play Baba. However, would have been very scary. I'm going to be just straight up honest with you. That would have been a doozy to be holding on to. NEM. Total fake out on NEM, broke its entry, and then immediately went the other way. Broke entry and then immediately went the other way. So what happens when we see this, when we observe this happening, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to put on the fib 50. The fib 50 is what we use for rejections off of entry to make what could be a potential 3. So moving that here, when it comes back up around the 30% mark, we're starting to look at it like, oh, maybe this thing is going to do something nice, right? And because it's a weekly, you would want to get some positions that you could swing. We take out the 50% mark. This is where you would want to enter into the trade. However, we do reject off of the trend line here. But the next day we start up above it. We end up taking out the high of the previous week and then starting to shoot back down. So with a simple 1-day swing, being prepared with the fib 50 and getting it when it crossed here, you wouldn't have been stopped out with it coming 9 more cents lower. But you would have made some big money if you had ridden that up to the first and second price target using that fib 50 that we've talked about. All right, after NEM is, we did ABBV, we did BABA, we did NEM. Let's do ROKU. ROKU was also a miss because it broke entry and it never went to PT1. So it's another miss, right? If you're still in it, it does look like it still has the power to potentially go in and test it. I'm not a big fan of this daily or this freaking Wick City that we're dealing with right now, but we're trapped in an algorithm on a bigger time frame. We're going to have to break out of that and choose a direction. It's inevitable. It's just it's not going to stay here forever. After that is UAL. Here we go. UAL banger. This thing broke entry, right? Took out PT1 day one. So you had a few runners left, right? Next day starts off below entry, breaks entry again. Maybe I'm feeling like getting a couple more. And within 1 day, takes out every single price target. Plows through all of these pivots and just removes everybody from puts that was in their puts. Just completely takes them out. Total liquidity on that. Banger of a play. You would have made some super serious money on UAL if you had taken that on that second day rebreak, or even had just held your positions off of the swing. You would have made some really nice money. After that is NVDA. NVDA took out PT1, didn't quite take out PT2, but let's talk about it because we did have the break here. It just completely went the wrong way. Now, on something like NVIDIA, you should have been stopped out. You want to keep your stop losses tight on things like NVIDIA because NVIDIA can really just take your lunch money from you and laugh at you the entire time. So being patient, waiting for the rebreak, would have happened right here. Here's the rebreak. Up here, we're starting above entry, and I don't really want to take it. Here, we're starting below entry, and we're breaking it. Then we take out PT1, and we get damn close to PT2. And within this 1 day from just entry to the high is a $27 movement. You would have made some money, especially just cashing out at PT1, which is $8 of a movement in itself. So those are the plays that were signaled. What I am going to do is now, if you're sticking around, you're going to see a bonus. And I'm going to show you how I made some really nice money on AMD. So AMD, I still have like a lot of alerts and stuff that are right here for sure. But let's talk about what it is that I saw that made me switch from puts to calls. Because as you know, I did both, right? When we came out here and then we started coming back down, I got puts, wrote it out here, sold some here, sold some here, and then I had a runner get stopped out in between here. But what do I see? I see that we're now rejecting off of this price target. A 212 going up the opposite way. But what is going on here? Let me get rid of some of these alerts that I have. That way we can see a little bit more clearly exactly what it was that I was looking at. We break, right? What are we breaking? We're breaking the pre-market low. We're also breaking the VWAP. Breaking the VWAP to the upside, breaking the pre-market low to the upside. When we start shooting back down again, and this failed 2 pops up off of the rejection off of the VWAP, we're retesting the VWAP. Remember, retests are so important. This is where I got calls, right in here. I got calls going up to the upside. I didn't know how far it was going to go. So I got several contracts, scaled some out here at this price target, scaled some out here at this price target, and I scaled some out here at this price target. I had one runner left. And as you can see, these are all areas that I had for price targets as well. Yes, I'm in on the 30-minute, but these came from an even lower time frame, if I'm not mistaken. Things like the 5-minute. Yeah, I was definitely, because I'm scalping, I'm looking at all different time frames. So I came to the 5-minute. You can see right in here where this price target is, right in here where this price target is, and why it would be advantageous for me to get out of these spots, because these are swing highs when we start coming down. But then I had my last one right here. And I love to trade off of algorithms. So what do I see here? We have a lot of trouble, right? So if we're going to go test something, this is the spot where I always say in the videos, it's like, hey, this is where we're going to have a fight, right? This is where I knew we were going to have a fight. And sure enough, this bad boy went from rejecting it down here. This is where I got into it, pushing all the way back up. And I just sat there and rode this thing because it never gave me a reason to get out. But Dylan, I see that there's red candles in there. Right. But I got it here. Where are those red candles continuing? They're not. This red candle is a 2 up, a 2 up. This red candle is a 2 up, a 1, a 2 up, 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 a 2 down. And this is the point where I was like, man, maybe I should cut my runner. I'm like up 160% on it right now. I'm sitting very pretty. Maybe I should cut it. And I was like, you know what? If we come down to this, I'll cut it. And I'm only going to be losing maybe like 10, 15 extra percent. Not very much money. 2 up, 2 up, 2 up, 2 up. Soon as we hit this and we're close to the trend line, while this was like kind of bouncing around, I literally was just looking at my orders and I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And I just sold them. I sold them right when we hit 180.66 because to me, this was the final price target that I had. I didn't expect it or anticipate it going even further. I just used the basic rejecting of the PML, pushing it to the upside, which means that my price target is more than likely going to be the pre-market high and steps along the way. Bouncing off of the VWAP. Same thing happening here. We ran. These are all 2 ups. There was no reason to get out of the play. So that's how I was able to make a lot of money on AMD, buying both puts and calls. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Hopefully you've learned something from it. And if not, keep watching. There will be more. God bless. I'll see you soon.